I had so much fun making that intro. I'm already going to start making
A new
another
one?
one. Another one because I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to it, baby. So we had last Sunday off because Xanath had this whole real life thing that she had to do. Whatever. Welcome back, Xanath. Good to see you. Welcome back to everybody else.
Yay.
So, recap. Welcome to session 60.
60.
We were playing for a while before we decided to share our journey with everybody else out there. So we always recap based on our previous, on our most recent session that we're on, and we're celebrating our 38th episode. But the most important thing I think that we were celebrating and kind of laughing about before we started, we finally made it to the Shattered Isles after 59 sessions of play. We're finally here. At level 17, you've wiped out all the possibility of friendship everywhere you've gone. There's barely anyone else left alive. Earthen has become a complete paranoid schizophrenic. Puck has become a world murderer, kind of like god killer. Xanath is like now a champion of a god that she's pretty sure is using her as a pawn. Maybe not sure. And then Spot seems to be the only character in kind of growth mode, with a measure of understanding that Spot is still being Spot in this chaotic world. But hey, we finally made it to the Isles. Are we worried? Nah, nothing to worry about. We've been here before. Well, have we? Maybe. Could be.
I mean, we still have at least one dead body in a bag, too.
Yeah, you do. I like how you say it that way, though. It's just like groceries. Well, we have at least one dead body.
At least.
Gotta deal with that.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to point out, I was the one that I wanted to go in there and finish him off, the other one off at least.
That was an accident. That was an accident. Yes. Yep. I didn't.
Because the bard would never
I was not
say
trying to kill him.
Accident.
I really wasn't trying to kill the guy.
To say it's an accident for sure.
Oh man, that was gross, and I feel really bad for that guy. Even though he tried to kill me as a giant Tyrannosaurus, I still feel bad for him.
That says so much about your hippie bard.
Yeah,
I can say this as your resident, chill hippie monk. You're holding on to a lot of negative energy, man.
What happened to us?
Hey, I don't go around killing gods, okay?
No, I feel like you guys started as more badasses, and now we've killed God. You feel bad about things. It's been a rough journey.
So where we last left off, the trap had been sprung. The team delayed, and therefore trapped within the mansion itself. Possibly something to either be delivered to someone else, or with the intent of keeping the team trapped permanently to keep them out of the way of what might be going on. But the team pulled together. They figured out what it was, and it was linked to the artist. It was determined that the artist was kind of brought into the idea of this place, this trap that was set, and they realized that they were inside of a dimensional mimic, a device pseudo monster that took on the impersonation of a magic mansion on the inside, but actually turned out to be a trap. The team convinced the artist to get involved. Some investigations were made, some insights were made, and they managed to find a way out. However, it took some unique timing to make it work, and some pretty high-level spell play as well. The team made their way out and realized that they were in the Astral Sea, but it was at that moment that Xanath, I believe, cast Plane Shift, which allowed the team to successfully finally make it onto Dragon's Breath Isle, one of the many isles within the Shattered Isle that was very much on her mind at the time. evidence of something that was linked to it, allowing her to focus on it and taking all of you out of the astral plane or the astral sea, and then eventually back to the material plane, more importantly, on Dragon's Breath Island. With Tilly in tow, Tilly Greenleaf is still with you at this point. However, a very intense conversation with the artist took place, realizing that his naivete and his recognition of his culpability, making him feel very guilty about what had happened. He decided to go his own way, not feeling as if he was either welcome or not welcome. Just the sudden realization that he's definitely a bit at fault at what happened and transpired.
I'm pretty sure he was definitely threatened to be murdered, though.
I didn't feel like he felt very bad.
Yeah, there was some of that going on.
We didn't
However,
take all
Tilly-
his stuff, though.
Yeah,
I got the
that's true.
backpack of holding.
Tilly Greenleaf is still with you, of course, the little halfling botanist who originally traveled on her own and provided some backdrop into possibly some more insight into who this Mannheim really is. This individual of duplicity and seemingly anywhere and everywhere at the same time. No matter what, whenever we start to investigate or look down certain pathways to take, the name Mannheim arises from time to time. And once again, dotted lines are turning more into solid lines. However, the team currently are on the coast of Dragon Breath Isle. They are looking up the coastal region to see the great lighthouse way up on the cliff's bluff. Down below along the shoreline, you can see the great town of a nearby Voik community nearby. And you guys are currently pretty good distance from both locations. The landscape is both rocky, almost like a Nordic style landscape without the immediate kind of like ice kind of landscape as well. It's just mostly rocky, scrub, overgrown. Looking down into the coastal waters, you can see dozens and dozens of Voik ships either beached up near the town or out in the bay itself, fishing or doing whatever they might do. Meanwhile, overlooking the entire scenery, a good mile or two up on the side of the cliff bluff, you could see a lighthouse that best could be described as the one that was described by the captain and her companion, perhaps, from a very long time ago. It seems to match the description, the location.
Does it match the painting?
It does match the painting. There's a very both like clear point that this lighthouse is the fixation that everyone seems to be having. Although how it's connected to the small island of Pebble's Throw, as well as what Mason's interpretation of what these beacons are, there is a kind of effervescent, kind of magical light pulsing from the distant lighthouse. And you can kind of hear the communal drums and sounds of the town below. You watch as a series of elk kind of migrate right past where you guys are standing after watching the artist kind of disappear into the horizon. And that's when you see your first totem. You can see that there are lots of hunter paths and foot trails that lead up and down where you're currently standing. You're kind of like on a flat section of the cliff, and there's trails that lead up towards the lighthouse, and there's trails that lead down. There's also trails that lead you kind of deeper into this flat-like plateau, pseudo, kind of like a mesa grassland mix that just kind of keeps going on into like the fog. It's dusk. The sun is setting, so you're not really sure how long you've been gone either. You get the feeling that trap and that getting out of it and getting back to where you are now there could be some time dilation at play. You do remember leaving at the end of winter. Spring was on the arrival. Looking around you, it feels very much like full spring-like weather. So maybe some time has passed, as best that you can tell. Off in the distance down below, you can hear the drums. And now that you can see your very first totem, you recognize it from some of your own recent studies when you were studying about the Voik. It would appear that you're on the territory of the clan Elk, as the totem is kind of festooned with elk-like relief. And on the very top of the totem is a massive, like 8-foot wide set of antlers that look like elk antlers. And the very top of the totem itself is a large elk head that's been carved into the relief. And what's interesting is there's not really any trees here. Like it's very much barren. It's grass, kind of like this, like Mongolian steppe style. There are low trees, like 2-foot, 3-foot tall, kind of rudimentary, very simple tree-like undergrowth. But for the most part, this is a pretty wide open, kind of exposed area. It is just now becoming evening. The artist has left. What would you guys like to do?
We have a bag full of magic stuff and other magic things that we picked up that I can, if we're going to pop the mansion anytime soon, I can just sit and start going over all that stuff. Otherwise, I'm at 1 hit point.
Oh.
And I haven't had a long rest in who knows how long. Because I was so smart to think that let's not jump into painting, right?
It was the smarter thing to do, but yeah.
You know.
Okay, if there's a place where it looks like I could put the dome and kind of tint it so it looks like a rock, I'll do that.
All right, give me a survival check as you begin to look around for a place to set this up.
Puck, do you have good survival?
I have +7.
Do you want to do it and tell me where to?
Sure, it's 18.
Nice.
What'd you get? 18?
Yeah.
Okay. You point over to the cliff face that rises up and then eventually would take you over towards the lighthouse. And then there's a part of the trail that takes you down into the coastal town. There's a bunch of broken areas of cliff before it goes out into the wide open of the steppe beyond it, the flat portion of the island, where these rocks kind of overlap each other and have some like broken ravine-like landscape. About maybe less than a quarter mile away from where you are. It feels like that would be a good spot. It would keep you away from the lighthouse, keep you away from the town. It would afford you the kind of cover you need with the landscape itself. It feels like a good spot.
Nice. Okay. I feel like we could use a break.
All right, I'll pop the dome up where Puck recommends and just kind of try and like tint it the same color as the rocks around it.
Okay. You do a pretty good job of it. Once you pop it up and creating the magical displacement of Lehman's tiny hut, and all of you heading inside at this point?
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Okay. Once you're inside, you're out of the harsher elements. While it wasn't cold, it was definitely windy. But the four of you are safely tucked away inside of Xanath's magical dome. And Eartha, you said you wanted to work on the magic items?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else want to work on anything before you settle in for the evening?
I'll start cooking up some treats.
Okay.
The one that doesn't eat is cooking.
Oh,
I can eat. I don't.
The
have
perfect advisor.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Puck.
I think a lot of us have the full benefit of like a full night's sleep, so maybe we can try and use a little bit of the time to do some reading since we have a bunch of books from the library. I would love to read about Kuatoa. What was the name again?
Ukatoa?
Ukatoa.
I'm gonna try to steer my cookery into things that will help improve focus. Just retain info. So I don't know how to do that just yet. Add some nice caffeinated things in there.
Oh, mate, all you got to do is add a bit of salt to everything you do, and it makes it perfect.
It does. It makes it better. It's magical flavor rocks.
We do have an alchemist halfling with us,
Ooh. Hey, Tilly.
Cat.
You want to help me cook things? You want to help me cook things and help
Sure,
me focus on stuff?
Yeah, what are you gonna cook? What are you thinking?
I don't really know. I was just gonna see what the ingredients were taking me, but just something to help these reading people.
Hey, you know what I can help you do?
What's that?
If you're interested, I could teach you how to make Hero's Feast.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's go work on that. That sounds like fun. Tilly goes over and just grabs Spot's little furry hand, and they go to a back section of the tiny hut. And it's really bizarre because you watch as Tilly reaches into the bag that she's carrying, and you recognize the bag of holding because she reaches in past her shoulder, like she's rummaging around. And you watch she pulls out a metal box, and she just throws it at the back end of the hut. And as she throws it, it begins to unfold. And it turns into a full alchemist lab, like a 6 foot long by 3 foot deep table. It's got all the alchemy equipment associated to it. She then goes back in her bag, pulls out a very large steamer trunk that she kind of finagles out of her bag, and it sets next to the table. She opens it, and it's just as she opens it, it very much Harry Potter accordions, like all these drawers and shelves. She presses a button on it, and it gets a little bit bigger, and it's every ingredient she could possibly need. Then she pulls a book out of the case, and you guys listen to her and Spot kind of descend into a teacher chaotic, difficult student conversation. She pulls open the book. She goes, "Okay, here's what we need. Now, instead of the expensive vessel to make it in, I've got this magical urn we can use." And then you can see Spot grabbing things that she points. So the two of them are going to spend some time, and Spot's going to attempt to learn Hero's Feast from a alchemist perspective. So Spot, for the duration of your evening, start off with a intelligence check, if you would. You can add your proficiency modifier to it because you are proficient in cooking.
Intelligence check. Okay. All right.
I don't have any help to give you anymore, man. Sorry.
You're fine. Houdini's knocking my physical dice off of my desk.
Right, because you deserve it.
Is that how that's how you roll, right?
Exactly. Proficiency modifier. I believe my proficiency modifier.
By the way, Xanath, I tried to find a Maine Coon cat driving a car, and I couldn't because I felt that would have been more perfect when you're like, "I'm gonna be 5 minutes late." I'm like, the cat's just sitting there, just staring at. Oh, if I could only find a Maine Coon.
That
would be perfect.
I do hate to ask this. I know it's always in there, but I think for proficiency modifier is +5. So.
Yeah, level 17, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's proficiency bonuses on the right next to all your regular modifiers, right? Straight off to the side of it, if you're looking at it. Right after charisma.
Oh, okay. It's +6. All right. So,
Woo-hoo-hoo.
so
Level
intelligence.
17, baby.
Nice. All right.
What'd you get?
1 sec. Oh,
And then math has to get in the way. It's just terrible.
Oh, actually, I did good. Okay, that is a 23.
Nice.
Because I fucked up. I was like, God, I don't know where this is.
Yeah. So you're beginning to understand from her alchemy perspective as she's assembling the ingredients for you.
Mhm.
She has an extra urn, so she gives you a magical kind of bowl that you can use, and she calls it like a mini cauldron. It's festooned with like little chips of gems and little pearlescent stones. It's very kind of like over the top decorated. You know, you go into grandma's house on Christmas and it's always that weird colored glass bowl that's always like sitting there, and you're like, I wonder what they use that for. So it looks very obviously ceremonial when she hands it to you. So she has hers in front of her, yours in front of you, and she's putting in her ingredients. She shows you how to do your ingredients. Now give me wisdom, but you are proficient in cooking, so you can add your +6 to your wisdom check as well.
All right. That is a 27.
Nice.
I'm not very smart. I'm very wise.
Yeah. So as you're assembling this, she gives you what's called transformative ingredient. And from your standpoint, Spot, while the others like Earthen is doing what he's doing, Xanath and Puck are doing what they're doing, you realize that she's handing you a very small vial of residuum that is laced or mixed with other kind of components. And she takes one and gives you one. Now you see what this one lets you do is that when you adding this, you can then transform whatever comes out of the magic cauldron into what you want it to be. So for example, if you're a baker and you want to make them into muffins, you can make muffins infused with Hero's Feast. If you want to make trail mix, you make trail mix. So this little tiny vial is by far the most important thing that you can add to your ingredient list. Do you understand, Spot?
Mhm.
Good. Now we have to carefully mix all of this together, and then I will show you the invocation for blending everything and then causing the small cauldron to then create what you want it to create. So the two of you settle on that for a while. Earthen is rummaging around the stuff that he's aggregated and put together. Xanath, what do you want to work on?
I think one thing I'd like to do is cast True Seeing and then try and look up at the lighthouse and just see what I see.
What's the range on that?
So, let's see. The spell gives a willing creature you touch the ability to see things as they actually are. Oh, out of a range of 120 feet.
Yeah, it's pretty far. Pretty far.
Well, we're probably not within 120 feet of the lighthouse, are we?
No, the lighthouse is probably a good 1.5 miles away and up on the side of the cliff.
All right, never mind. I won't do that then. Because we've just had this really scary experience where people who knew my mom just tried to kill us, I'd like to send a message to my mom, which is weird because I haven't talked to her in like several months, but saying,
Yeah.
And I'm blanking on the name of the woman who trapped us.
Shoot, Leaf something.
Alara Thornbrook.
Thornbrook, yeah.
So I'll say, Mom, this is Xanth. I'm safe, but ran into trouble with Alara Thornbrook. Think you may be in danger? Go to the Temple of Helm.
A few minutes goes by. Well, she finally calls me. It's been months, dear. Where have you been? Well, don't worry about me. I'm safely in Vasselheim. I'm attending a lecture given by, what is this fool's name? Something Mannheim. I don't know. But you may seek, and then it like cuts off after the 25th word.
I'm going to send a message back saying, are you with Mannheim now? Have you seen him in person?
Well, 2 calls in less than 2 minutes. It's amazing what someone does when they reach out to you. I don't know who this Mannheim is. I'm simply attending his lecture. And then it cuts off after the 25th word. It's a typical conversation with your mother, all emotion and frustration.
I feel kind of relieved. Skip the lecture, go to the temple.
So that's 3 sends.
Yeah.
You burn a lot of spell slots.
Yeah.
On the 3rd send, you kind of like skip the lecture, go to the temple. Well, if you think it's important, can you damn, there's a limitation to how many words we can use, but can you? And then it cuts
Come
off.
on.
But it sounds like she said yes to go to the temple, but
Okay.
it also sounded like she wanted to tell you something, but it kind of runs out of words before she could tell you.
Oh boy. I mean, we're going to sleep. I'll send her one more message.
Okay.
You got cut off. What were you saying?
Oh, this is so amazing. Thank you for calling me back. Well, anyways, what I was trying to, I'm just kidding. She goes, this is amazing. Well, anyways, I learned astral projection. When I get to the temple, send me one more message describing where you are, and then I can find you. Talk to you later, dear. Bye.
Amazing.
It all cuts off.
Okay.
That sounds like a horrible idea. Just, I mean,
The most realistic mother in all of fantasy.
for a group that has fallen into every trap that's been laid in front of us, and a now overly paranoid bard, this sounds like a super.
It's
Your
my
mom, who's in the same room with Mannheim.
Well, she hasn't even met him yet.
It's the most mother. Like, oh my god.
Like, not even freaked out. Just like, oh, you decided to call. Okay.
Oh, there are 25 words. Half of them are going to be about the guilt trip. What was I going to say? Well, it was a lovely brunch, and I was with my neighbor, and...
So true.
Remind me when you get back. We have to go to this new restaurant that opened down the street.
Oh
Huck,
my
can you
god, they
tell
want $20 a mimosa. It was terrible.
You are coming back, aren't you?
No, please do the astral projection. I want to meet your mom.
Well, I thought I had to wait till she got to the temple.
Yes, she made it sound like that when she gets to the temple, which you get the feeling she's probably she's either at Sarenrae Academy or she might be at the Bahamut Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the feeling in about an hour she should be at Helm's Temple.
This just sounds like
There
terrible.
is a ceremonial chamber there for teleportation and the enhancement of astral projection. So you get the feeling that she's trying to get into a position where, she's better suited to cast it and then project herself to have a conversation with you.
Okay.
I mean, after almost 2 years of play, you finally called your mom.
I know. Just never got around
I'm
to
just
it.
giggling thinking about it. Because it was already a few months before you even talked to her when you started your journey. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
really
it's
right.
been a few months definitely
Yeah.
since then as well.
Because I didn't even have message until, 2 months into our game, so.
Mm-hmm.
Or sending, I should say.
I'm just really excited to be present for that conversation that is going to happen.
And your father's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like not the typical backstory. Like you come from a well-adjusted family, everybody loves you. You weren't driven out by bullies or tragedy. It's just kind of, hey, I'm gonna go see the world. Well, yeah, don't forget to pack your bag and take your toothbrush. Have fun. You know, that kind
Then she got sucked into a cult. Found a statue of herself somewhere.
Yeah, the cult of
You know,
birth is
now
what she
she's
got
the new
sucked into.
Messiah. You know,
Yes, then she killed a god and became a god herself. That is
well,
the
she
trajectory.
supposedly already was a god, right?
I'm excited. Listen,
Or the
that's gonna
daughter of a
be
god.
such a good. I'm excited to see where that one goes. It's gonna be
Puck,
very epic.
Is there anything you want to work on while Earthen's going through the kit of stuff and Spot's working on a new recipe and Xanath is in that kind of awkward dormitory phone call home? Yeah, Mom. I know, Mom.
Hey, you can try and find that gin if you want to bring him here.
Oh God! I mean, honestly, it's from one asshole to another. I really admire that move. I'm excited to see it visited
All right,
upon
Puck,
us
D6
twice-fold.
inspiration. That was good.
No.
From one asshole to another asshole.
No, honestly, way to go. I'm excited to I'm so happy that this happened. And now I'm gonna read about Ukatoa. Briefly, I'm gonna think I should call my family, and then I'm like, never, no.
Yeah, call him and tell him what you've been up to.
They'd be. I think Puck's family was just a bunch of half orcs that threw her around and were like, "Woo, beer!" It was she grew up in a frat house.
So they batted you around with long wooden sticks with flat ends on them?
I think I have it in my background that they used to play Gnome in the Middle, where they just throw her from one side to another as a ball. She has, they were wonderful.
I was thinking gnome hockey, but
oh shit! Oh, because she's a Puck. That's pretty solid.
Gnome hockey. Oh,
I forget to a snowy place. Yeah,
that's where the name came from, right?
It came from Pixie because she was so small they thought she was a pixie. Not great. Sorry, distracted by
completely sidetrack you. Sorry.
No.
Ukatoa, you wanted to meet that guy, another evil god.
I want to know who Ukatoa is, and Puck is not psyched at the fact that it's been. I think you mentioned that if she dies, her soul goes to Dominion.
There's that possibility. It just kind of depends on the future of your journey, I think.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind because I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's pretty pissed.
It would not be a good time for me. But no, she wants to learn about Ukatoa to see if there is any connection to any of the figures they've met so far, and to the lighthouses.
Give me investigation or history. Your choice.
Play on your strengths, Puck.
I have none. Okay. Okay, they're both +4. Any preference from other people between history and investigation?
If you're looking for a link, I think history would be better, right?
Okay, let's try that. If it's a low roll, I'm blaming you. It's 13, I'm blaming you.
Don't you have any inspiration?
I do. Thank you for reminding me. It was a D6.
Yep,
Yep.
D6.
That's what they're
Oh
for.
my god. Okay, 13 plus 5. That's not bad.
That's an
18.
18. You spend your time going through excuse me. You spend your time going through the book and notes that you've gathered. I think you got this from the library. And what struck you as interesting as you're reading through this, there are two specific readings that kind of draw your attention. You basically know the common lore of Uk'otoa, and reading these books and content kind of reaffirm it for you. Uk'otoa is considered a leviathan. Some say a leviathan that kind of spreads its influence throughout the Lucidian Sea and is at the very heart of the superstition of every sailor, pirate, or whoever's kind of crossed the sea. You could always blame it on the idea that Uk'otoa did it. Uk'otoa's going to get you. But there are some organizations out there that worship the Great Leviathan. They feel that the Leviathan provides a measure of defense, safety, security if you decide to travel the open sea. The more isolated travelers are, the more Uk'otoa's name is invoked. However, reading through the books, you come across two areas that have some similarities to what you're currently experiencing. One similarity is that the anchor or the focus of Uk'otoa's power is relegated to something called the cloven crystals. And it's believed that there are 3 underwater pyramids spread throughout the Lucidian Sea, and each one of these pyramids contains a cloven crystal. It's said that it's very important to worshippers and believers of Uk'otoa that to locate these temples or these pyramids is one of the greatest achievements you can come across, therefore proving yourself to Uk'otoa. Another thing that you find interesting is that people who decide to try to worship or find Uk'otoa kind of descend into madness. They get lost in that search or in that seeking of Uk'otoa. If Uk'otoa accepts them, then essentially they become so hyper-focused on it, they're willing to sacrifice all other things. And in some cases, members of the different cults of Uk'otoa may try to seek out these individuals and pull them into their ranks, depending on how they choose to communicate. Most of the readings tell you that Uk'otoa is kind of like a hallucinogenic kind of interpretation. Most gods choose the dream state, but Uk'otoa almost seems to prefer when people are on their deathbed or they're having a hallucinogenic reaction to something, or they're near their death and it's happening within a body of water. Will sometimes trigger a potential connection with this deity, this entity. And reading all this, there's definitely a similarity between the cloven crystals and the beacon lights, although they seem to have different stories. While the 9 beacons seem to focus on the idea of the 9 prime deities, there could be some crossover there. It's hard to tell for sure. Sometimes lesser gods or lesser deities will have very similar superstitious and religious connotation, depending on interpretation. But it does kind of like pique your interest. You know, is Mason looking for these beacons, or has he mistaken the lore of Uk'otoa and he thinks these beacons are actually the cloven crystals? That could be one possibility. What you find even more interesting is that there's a section of this book that you're reading that seems to be written by Mannheim. And it goes into a great deal of understanding of the importance of the cloven crystals and what they represent, which is the possibility that all beacons, all crystals, all things of true raw planar magic beacons fundamentally all have the effects brought on by residuum, and that residuum is the byproduct of these fallen stars that eventually get turned into these relics by powerful entities or powerful masters of magic. It's believed that these might be the same kind of magic related crystals that cause the great citadels, the flying citadels of the period of Arcanum. Some equate that to Brimstone, but the more and more you get deeper into this story, the deeper you get into this journey of tracking this lighthouse and the beacon and the competition with Mason, who clearly is taking advantage of these rifts that are presenting him with these opportunities to try to find these beacons. It's possible that he's confused. It's possible that he's maybe mixed up the legend or the lore, and he's seeking a beacon of power. But now you're wondering if maybe he's looking for one of these. If he's teamed up with Mannheim in an effort to do this, maybe it was Mannheim that originally directed Mason out to Gnomeworks. Maybe Mannheim or Mason's vampirism was already established before he came out to Gnomeworks, when you guys had your first encounter with Mason. But once again, another bit of clue, another bit of content seems to be focused on Mannheim yet again. It's strange how often his name keeps coming up.
So, if I recall correctly, very early on when we were on the way to Gnomework, we encountered necrotic octopus that were Kraken-like, both in that they've destroyed a few ships strategically that had residuum on them. Correct. And the map located a Kraken at one point, which seems to possibly, but not necessarily, be connected. The Red Eye, which was a gambling spot in Gnome's work, was also connected to Ukatoa, and somehow had its influence. And so his influence might have stretched into some of what we've seen in Gnomeworks, though we don't know the extent of it. Underwater pyramids and cloven crystals would definitely be interesting to explore connection. And Mannheim, I'm starting to be concerned that Mannheim might be like one of those pseudonyms that many people use, to the extent where it cannot be tracked to a singular person, but it's like throughout time or the world, many, many people use that name. That would make it very hard for us.
You're beginning to get very cultish vibes, like secrecy, like a lot of secrecy, a lot of undertones, a lot of kind of implications of words and phrasing that are designed to be consumed by a small group of people. More importantly, kind of makes you think about the academics that you recently encountered and what their focus was, and just how eager they were to conduct whatever they're conducting out here in the Shatter Isles. You definitely get the feeling that their cover story is blown, and that the material that you found that they had in their own possession regarding Mannheim's name that had come up a couple times, as well as multiple sightings, multiple conversations, it's definitely feeling a bit cultish to you.
Yeah, that's concerning. I guess also the idea of induced madness and frenzy feels very like secret society-ish.
Yeah.
Like secret rites. And very concerning considering a number of people we've seen who were in a state of mind that felt
for a lack of better word, frenzied or crazied. Puck just kind of marinates grimly at the situation and pets her tiger and feeds him.
Earthen, you
Mhm.
begin to comb through a lot of things. What are you starting with?
So it asked Spot in the chat there what all the stuff he'd picked up before we dumped the bag out. I think he had at least one ring. You're muted. You're muted.
You're muted, Spot.
Yeah.
I know. I
Continue
heard.
be
I had to
muted.
get back to
You're
that
muted.
tab.
You're muted. Hey, Spot. Hey, Spot. Hey, Spot. Hey, Spot.
Fine. It's fine, guys. I think I got a ring from 3 different people at the banquet table, and we got the staff from that one lady that was causing us problems.
Yeah, Sibylla staff.
Yeah, and
You definitely have Sibylla's staff. You retrieved a ring from the pocket of 3 different attendees to the dinner party.
Yep.
Yes.
Sibylla was one of them, I think, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I recorded who I got those from, unfortunately.
Uh,
I think it was the gnome guy or the dwarf guy, Sibylla, and
It was that female elf lady.
Yep.
the one that was reading the book on vampires.
Yeah, maybe Drusilla.
No.
I got that as Manaleaf.
Yeah, Manaleaf. That's her.
Natalie? Okay.
Although I'm going to write down Drusilla because that's a cool name.
I think that's
Yeah,
the name
so
of the evil stepsisters in Cinderella.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Blackwood, Sibylla, and Manaleaf.
Is there anything else you want to take some
Uh,
time out with?
Those, and then whatever magic stuff happens to be in the bag of holding. Because the guy said all that stuff came from a wizard that died. So there, we know there was the magic paints around there somewhere, but what else was in the bag? We didn't know. We didn't dump the bag last time,
Right.
so I'm gonna start reaching in and grabbing. Hopefully, still having hands.
Well, the only way to empty the bag without knowing what's in there, you would assume the paints are in there. Possibly painter's supplies would be linked to it. But the only way you can pull stuff out is if you know what they are. Otherwise, you have to turn
Right.
the bag upside down and
Yep.
utter the invocation empty, and the entire bag will empty onto the floor.
Yep. Spot.
Mhm.
I know you're in there cooking. We don't know what's in the bag, so I'm gonna just dump it, the whole thing. I don't know what's in here. Could be a bunch of shit for all I know.
You can
Outside
do-
the
that's
dome?
gross.
Or
Like, that's- ew.
It's like, my dome's really clean.
I
Smells
suppose there's
nice in
there's
here. I don't know.
nothing
It smells like
there.
persimmon
so-
because they're
I mean,
they're cooking.
If it's that bad, like we have a bag too, we can put it back in the bag. You know.
Yeah, no, my concern was like, oh, what if there's like a dragon in there or something? But it would be dead because there's no air in the bag.
Right.
Well, also, it would have to be a really small dragon.
Well, you can fit big stuff in the bag,
If you can
Yeah,
fit
as
the
long
end
as
of
you
the
get
bag
through the
around it.
mouth of the-
like
yeah,
a
as long
long,
as-
like a really long but thin dragon.
Look at Asian dragon, the snake kind of
Yeah.
dragon, Asian dragon.
Makes sense. Makes
Dump it
total
over.
sense.
This is what? Where's the end of this thing? I'm like, what the hell? Coil.
It's just a continuous handkerchief trick.
Yeah. So empty it is.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try and go towards a wall of the mansion or of the room, not out in the middle where if something starts
Right.
where we can contain the spread if it goes too fast,
Okay.
Yeah. just in
Um,
case. Yep. And then empty.
the first thing that comes out is a small easel that's kind of rolled up. A rolled up thing of paintbrushes, as well as about a dozen small ceramic jars of paint that all seem to have little arcanic symbols on them. You then notice a combination quill, inkwell, and like a rolled up thing of vellum which is basically just sheep-treated skin that you could ride on. 4 small vials of what look to be potions, but the colors do not look familiar to you. A tankard, like kind of a beat-up metal tankard, comes tumbling out. A small leather sack of coins kind of spills out onto the ground. And then like a ceramic urn comes out as well.
Anything interesting there, Ethan? Or can I get back to my cookery?
I mean, you can go back and cook. There's an urn over here that looks suspicious. Something else to open up with other stuff inside of it. You know how
I mean,
it goes.
it kind of looks like a traditional funerary urn, like would contain somebody's ashes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, once I get to figuring out what all these things are, I'll let you know. So I'll strum the lute to run detect magic and see what of the items that came out pop.
Okay. The one thing you notice are the 3 rings that you got from the spot are not magical. The staff is definitely magical. It's a mix of divination, enchantment, and evocation. The easel is not magical, but the paints and the paintbrush are magical, mostly enchantment. The 4 small liquid vials, definitely magical. Mostly enchantment magic coming off of those. The tankard is giving off an evocation magic as well. And then the vellum, the vellum's not magical, but the inkwell and the quill are magical as well.
Right. And nothing off the urn.
The urn doesn't seem to be showing any kind of detect magic. There is some writing on the urn at the base of it.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go read it, but making sure that it wasn't something magical, that if I read some inscription that something happens.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be magical as far as you can tell.
Paranoia, So I'll set to I start identifying the magic items. Actually, I'll read the urn first.
Okay.
It's not magical. Or it
actually just in very simple common at the bottom of the urn, property of the Wanderman Assembly.
What the hell?
And there's like little metal flanges that keep the top sealed.
Okay. You're going to wait right here till I get this other stuff done and rest. And then I don't trust you. Yeah, I mean, you can see me talking to the urn, right? You guys can see me talking to the urn.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Then, is it talking back or no?
No, but it's a friend.
Okay.
Not that kind of friend. It's a bad friend. Not a good friend. It's a bad friend. Well, it's something to do with the Wanderman. The Wanderman own it. It's a funerary urn. I don't like it.
All right.
All right, you don't move. And start identifying all the other items.
What are you starting with?
Let's start with the rings. Oh no, the rings are not magic. Hang on.
They're not magical.
Start with the staff. Sibylla's staff.
Sibylla's staff is the staff of the elements.
Okay.
Once per day, you can summon a greater elemental of your choice.
Nice.
Staff also has a crystal on it that allows you to store a spell of 5th level or higher. The staff also allows you to shadow step up to 60 feet as a bonus action. No limit. It does require attunement.
Yeah. Okay. The paint and brush, assuming they go together.
They do. As you focus on the two of them set together, the paints allow a magical illusion to occur, and the brushes allow the application of the paint. The two that work into conjunction essentially allow you to paint anything you want, and it'll look almost like you're a master painter. You get the feeling that this was the kind of shenanigery of this guy. He probably wasn't even a real painter. He just came across this magical stuff, and it gave him the ability just to paint paintings, make a lot of money, and just be a charlatan. That's what it feels like.
I was kind of hoping for a Roadrunner door. Like
Yeah.
paint the Roadrunner door and lock somebody in a rock somewhere. Okay, the quill and ink. The quill and inkwell.
The quill and inkwell are infused with an oath. Somebody has magically placed an oath on these devices, and that if invoked, will read the last will and testament of whoever placed the oath on them.
Well, that'll be fun.
Get the feeling that's why they were kind of partnered up with the vellum at the same time.
And it kind of rolled all together.
Yeah.
All right. The potions, the 4 potions. Or 4
One
vials.
is a potion of scry.
Ooh.
Another one is a potion of greater regeneration. Another one is a potion of speak with dead. The other one is a potion of raise dead.
And raise dead is zombie dead, not back to life, right?
No, that's animate dead. Raise dead is back to life.
Okay.
Animate dead is zombie dead.
This is
Brawl.
like a full cleric set. You don't even need me anymore with these.
It feels like it, yeah. I mean, it
Bye.
feels like it feels like whoever originally owned this bag. There's an urn. There's almost like a last will and testament with the oath, emblazoned onto the inkwell and quill, and then you have these 4 potions. A scry potion, right? A raise dead, speak with dead. So it's like and a greater regeneration, greater restoration.
So it's restoration or regeneration?
My bad, restoration. Sorry.
Okay. I was going to say, like, if it was regeneration, we were just going to pour this on the pile of ashes and grow a body. Another body! No?
What have I done?
In the efforts to bring somebody back to life, come on, it's bringing back life, not ending it.
As you finish going through all these items,
I think I got the tankard left, sorry.
Oh yeah, the tankard. It is a tankard of everlasting. You simply tell it what you want, and it refills. Whether it be wine, beer, water, any basic drinking concoction, it'll automatically refill for you.
Spot, you found this, so I feel obligated to tell you. This tankard can get you whatever you want to drink. So if you want that crazy acid hooch stuff that you drank,
The acid hooch.
you can probably summon it here.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Totally gotta get on that. Gotta keep trying on this Heroes Feast thing. I'm just curious. Does it have to be like digestible? Because I mean, you might have just like an infinite mummy thing. Just liquid platinum, just pour it out.
You watch as Greenleaf takes it from Spot momentarily, kind of looks at it. It's a beverage tankard, not a never-ending, satisfy you all agreed tankard. But no, it's not what that's for.
Would be great to run a bar though. You just
I mean, there you go. There's your retirement fund.
the magical tap.
A magical tap.
Just all it is the tankard turned sideways, right? And you just grab the handle.
What do you want? Beer?
What I want.
Here you go. What? Whiskey? There you go. Wine? Oh, there you go.
Just mount it to the wall, and you just grab onto it and say what you want, right?
And you both have pretty good passive perceptions, right?
Yes.
Mine's
How about a 23?
Okay. What's your Spot?
20.
Okay. We gotta love her hair wrap. My 13-year-old daughter has one of those.
IKEA.
Yeah. As the two of you are kind of looking at it, examining it, Greenleaf takes it, hands it back to Spot. You notice that there's writing on the bottom of the tankard.
Is it in a language that I recognize?
It's in common.
Ah, okay. What's it say?
It says Oath of the Wanderman.
I see that too, or he saw it.
You both did.
What the hell?
This is.
So, okay. Okay, guys. So in the rings are nothing. We can sell them later. Rings are rings.
Do you want
This
to
staff-
investigate the rings?
Well, yes, I will look at the rings. I'll give a good hard glance at the rings. Not just because they weren't magical. So at first I was kind of like meh.
Give me investigation as you study the rings.
That's a 23.
23. They are all identical rings. The top round facet of the ring is in the shape of an eye. Internally, like etched into the internal workings of the rings, is the word Mannheim on each of the rings, almost like they're identifiers or things that allow people to identify each other.
These are not these. I'm like pointing at Puck, like showing Puck, like Puck. Does this look like the eye you're familiar with?
Does it look similar?
Similar, but just not a very good artistic rendering because it's metal. Like the sketches and stuff show a version of the eye. This could be another version of that eye, just in kind of jewelry form as opposed to sketch form.
Ukatoa's eye or Dominion's eye?
Ukatoa's.
Okay.
It seems vaguely similar to Ukatoa's eye. It's hard to tell because of the material, but it very, very well could be.
Also, on the inside there, if you can see it, it says Mannheim.
As you look at it, Puck, not only does it say Mannheim, there's two letters that are kind of scratched over a bit that you focus on. And it says SS. Almost like it's the name of a ship.
What? SS Mannheim?
You know what? Nope. I need to rest for it first. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh, SS.
I mean, it's been lots of days, but I haven't rested to reactivate the sword. So
I don't know.
SS Mannheim. What the hell?
And
I love that
So, yeah,
collective
can you,
intent to go look at notes. I just love it.
You want to do a speak with dead with the urn full of ashes?
I don't think the urn can talk.
yeah, I don't think I can speak with it in its current form, but
Well, before we do that part, this quill and ink and the vellum here is an oath, like an oath that if I activate it, it will describe the last will and testament of the author, writer. All
That's
this
what it
stuff
feels
came
like, yeah.
together, so I'm gonna assume all these things go together. And if I was making a puzzle, this seems like it would be the first piece, the instruction manual, maybe.
yeah, I mean, it would be helpful. It'd be good to know who this is in the urn before we, I guess, talk about bringing him back.
Well, it's somebody, Wanderman, and we're on the island that they are so well known for. But do we do it now, or do we sleep on it first?
I think we sleep. Maybe should we hear the will and then sleep?
Mhm.
And
Okay, all right. Will it is. I'm going to invoke the oath on the quill and ink and vellum.
Do it, Jeremy.
Okay. As you kind of like focus on it, you read the arcane inscriptions on the quill and the inkwell. You watch as the quill becomes animated. It floats there for a second. You spread out the vellum, you uncork the inkwell, and you watch as the quill dabs into the inkwell and then begins to write in common, scratching, scrawling. Does it for about 5 minutes until it's done. The quill goes inert, and the ink still showing hints of magical infusion, but quite a few paragraphs have now been written on the vellum with a signature at the bottom.
I'm going to read the signature first.
With the Felder Ward.
I'm gonna like turn it to them. Like, just read the name. Don't read the top. Read the name.
the lady who
Read.
sent us on.
That was her name, yeah.
Who was supposed to be who sent us?
That's weird. What does it say?
I didn't read it yet. I just saw the name first and kind of freaked out. Okay. How long have we been gone?
Pop, can you tell as a ranger with your survival abilities, like approximately what day it is?
Survival.
You know, like where the sun is and the
I sprinkle magic on me. It's been 255 years.
I think it's. I mean, Tali can't tell the day to save her life, but Puck probably can.
Give me a survival check. Puck, as you begin to kind of poke your head out of the now darkened sky and begin to look at the moon and its position, the stars.
13.
It's been about 2 weeks, best you can tell.
2 weeks, as far as I can tell. But I
That's
don't
2
know.
weeks plus like 2 months when we zapped into space before.
Yeah.
So we're like 3-ish months from Gnomeworks. From
Well,
when we departed Gnomeworks.
I thought was it 2 months? I thought it was just like a couple weeks that we disappeared the first time.
I thought it was months later. A couple
Okay.
months later. Yeah. When we went into the rift and came back out of the rift.
So whatever we saw Mason doing before we
That was after the rift.
Yeah, but that was before this 2-week time loss. So whatever he was sending a servant to do is probably already done.
Mm. Well, do we think the person who sent us here has died, or do we think that the person who sent us here was an imposter?
Don't know yet, but I know someone we can ask. She's
Is
in the
it-
bag. She's dead. In the bag.
I mean, can we wait with that until the morning? I think we've had a
Yeah,
long
oh,
day.
yeah, definitely. Absolutely wait till morning. I can't I'm hanging by a thread here, okay?
I can't handle her going frenzy and trying to suck the blood out of us.
So the rift
Inevitable-
cost you guys. The rift cost you 10 days. 2 weeks.
Okay.
Days.
Okay.
Rift, because I've got 20 days since the Fire Titan, 9 days at sea. So you've
About a
left
month.
Gnomeworks almost like 35, 36 days ago.
Okay.
And now you've lost an additional 2 weeks being trapped in the Astral Mimic.
Oof. Why does it always feel like
So-
somebody is trying to distract and slow us down?
It's been 2 months since Gnomeworks.
I mean, Mason has a track record of being pretty good at distracting us.
Yeah.
And oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm still a little afraid of the Martinets. So,
Well-
yeah.
Her story, her and your best friend's story were where they were cursed at the lighthouse. Way back when their story was they were cursed at the lighthouse. They got there, they went into the lighthouse, and then bloop, they were cursed. If that's true, if that's real, that should be the lighthouse. We're here. So who's got more information about it than her?
It's a good idea. I just don't like her. And I don't like
She never
vampires,
really
and this
tried
is
to
gonna suck.
Right? But she didn't like us, but she never actively tried to kill us. She wiped our memory a lot, but she didn't actively try to kill us.
She did say when we did speak with Dead with her that if we brought her back, she would sort of do a frenzied bloodlust throughout the world.
Yeah.
She is a vampire right now. I mean,
Yeah.
Happy Helm doesn't have anything to heal that.
To heal vampirism?
It's a
I don't
disease,
know. Maybe,
right?
maybe a greater restoration could do it. I'm not sure. But I could also, since it's been a couple weeks, I could speak with Dead with her again if we wanted to do that instead.
I mean, what are the odds she doesn't tell us the same thing she did last time?
Well, you'd also go to speak with Dead. Usually can only be used once.
So this says If the spell fails if the corpse was the target of the spell within the last 10 days. But I don't see something saying that you can't cast it on someone twice, just that there's this, it can only happen once every 10 days.
I think. So you grant the semblance of life and intelligence to a corpse of your choice within range, allowing it to answer the questions you pose. The corpse must still have a. Oh wait, you're referring to the
Marknet.
You're referring to the scroll Speak with Dead, that special one that you found,
Yeah, that one was
right? Because that's what you
yeah.
used to speak with her, right?
No,
we
we just
used-
talked to her before we went even to the
You
house.
used a regular Speak with Dead spell.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because the
Okay.
scroll was supposed to be for a god.
So the failure is only if the corpse was a target of the spell within the previous 10 days. Once you successfully cast it, until the spell ends, you can ask the corpse up to 5 questions.
Mhm.
The corpse knows only what it knew in life, including the languages it knew. Answers are usually brief, cryptic, or repetitive, and the corpse is under no compulsion to offer a truthful answer if you are hostile to it or it recognizes you as an enemy. This spell doesn't return the creature's soul to its body, only its animating spirit. Thus, the corpse can't learn new information, doesn't comprehend anything that has happened since it died, and cannot speculate about future events. So yes, you could cast it on her again. That's true.
She might lie. I suppose she might do that if she's alive too.
Yeah,
Do
but you can compel her to tell the truth if she's alive.
Yeah, I could put her in a zone of truth. Yeah, that's true.
But if we also though, if we can get rid of this freaking vampire curse on her, since she's dead and all,
At all.
Tilly.
Yeah. What's up? Are you okay? Do you
Yeah.
need an ointment? Are you?
Just questions. Do you know anything about vampires besides that they don't like garlic?
I know. Why do you ask?
Like, say I wanted to make someone no longer a vampire.
Oh, I don't think that works. I don't think you could do that. At least I've never heard of anyone trying to no longer make. Usually, to make someone not a vampire, you destroy them. Therefore, they're not a vampire. Some people think it's a curse. Others think it's a disease. But once you become a vampire, that's kind of it. You're either a vampire until you die of extremely old age and waste away to nothing. I mean, because vampires do live a limited lifespan. Granted, they can live up to 1,000 years. As far as I know, you can't undo it. Do you think you can undo it? Is that why?
I don't know. I would like to, if possible, since vampire are not great, but I don't like killing people, even if their souls are.
Well, I mean, technically, if you're killing a vampire, you're just killing an undead creature, so you're not really killing it. It's already dead.
So if I wanted to reanimate a dead creature that was a vampire when it was dead, right?
Sure.
If I'm reanimating it, it shouldn't reanimate as a vampire then, because if it would be reanimating.
This all sounds very experimentational, like you're crossing a threshold of morality issues too.
Well,
I mean, the fact that you think
not to reanimate something that's already undead, right?
Well, no, it sounds like you're grappling with the moral issue of you feel bad that a vampire's dead, and therefore you want to bring it back in hopes of curing it, and then ask it for questions because it's going to owe you a favor. Is that what I'm hearing?
Not because it's going to owe me a favor, but because when it was alive, its stated purpose was to reunite with its lover. And it and its lover were both cursed by this lighthouse up there. And we're so close, yet so far, far away.
I don't know about that.
So
I-
I could
Is
try
it-
True Resurrection, which closes all wounds, neutralizes all poisons, cures all diseases, lifts any curses affecting creature. If the creature was undead, it's restored to its non-undead form.
Ooh.
That feels like our best shot. It is a nice
Absolutely.
little spell. And I think it would also be the way that we brought back this urn if we wanted to do that. So it would kind of be like one or the other, but we could try that.
But Ethan, you have a lot of faith in this person, and the truth she may or may have not told us is somebody who was murdered by said, tragic love or whatever. I do have my reservations.
What did they
Buck
say?
is like itching at the scar on her side.
What did they say when he told you?
He was talking to Zahir, or a creature I believe was Zahir.
I thought you just said master.
Doesn't Puck actually have no memory of this because the hag
Oh,
took it?
right. It's true. And then Earthen told me that it happened, so I can't answer that. I don't know
Yeah,
what he
you're like-
said.
Yeah, that memory's gone.
It's not. No, I have it.
Oh, right. So you know what he said. I think for me the bottom line is everybody has been lying to us a lot. Like from the beginning.
Mhm.
He specifically lied to us about his history, about the circumstances why he is there, possibly about his relationships to Wonderment, certainly about his knowledge of what was happening in his relationship to the Martinets. I don't know if the picture you're painting or your belief that there is some kind of truth in their, tragic love story is something we can really lean on at the moment. And once again, I really, 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 really don't like either of them for reasons that should be evident.
Martinette didn't do anything to you.
Martin,
She wiped my
If your-
memory. You didn't
if
do
your
anything.
boyfriend killed me, I don't. If you know what I mean, yeah.
If you
If your oath sworn
temporarily
deity killed some rando, I mean, you're
That's
hardly
not
in
the
the
same.
position to
That's
complain
not the
about it.
same.
Not the same.
Oh,
You made that
please.
agreement on your own, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I'll be stronger," and then you turned your arm into a black tentacle
he
and
lied to me.
like,
I didn't know that
murder
that
death some guy.
pacts
You
can
don't even know what
be
happened that day.
tempered in that way. Listen, I have my own shit to take care of, and I definitely acknowledge that. But let's not pretend like my situation is the same as his,
I love
okay?
it.
I did not sacrifice some random, innocent person to a dark god for my.
He was feeble-minded. He had no knowledge of what the heck anything was.
Who
and
was
then you went and said,
feeble-minded?
what's it? The Brightfin. Brightfin was
Bright-
completely inept. He was feeble-minded. He was
Brightfin tried to
incapable
kill
of
you.
doing anything.
Brightfin was working with, and I didn't do it. The Dominion did it. Okay.
Oh,
Let's-
it's convenient. Yeah.
not quite. It
I
was
didn't
very
do it.
bad, and
Dominion did
no part of that was convenient. I would say.
Not
Listen,
to interject, can I just throw a glob of the whatever the stew we're making at Earth and just hit him in the face to shut him up? Give him some HP.
Like and
Aw.
and Greenleaf sees you do it and quickly goes, "That's a way," and then she like casts a spell and it turns into a muffin and like hits Earthen in the face.
And that's my 1 HP. And I
He chokes. He takes one hit. and chokes
I dropped to the ground
on a
unconscious.
blueberry.
I mean, I don't have the best constitutions.
And it's at that moment that Tilly kind of looks at all four of you and is like, So I'm getting a sense that the four of you have been together a long time, right?
Not that long.
I mean, kinda.
I mean, you kind of
define
bicker
long.
like either family or siblings. I'm not sure which, but are you, based on me overhearing this conversation, am I getting this right? You were hired to find someone,
Mhm.
and this someone is linked to the Wanderman Assembly,
Mhm.
and therefore, when you find them, you take them back. Is that what I'm hearing?
No. Yes and no. Actually, we were strongly hinted that we did not have to bring them back alive.
Oh, so a sense of proof then.
They just needed to open a vault, a blood vault, and this person would have been the last remaining heir.
A blood vault? No
Yep.
such thing.
Then what the heck were we sent out here for?
I don't know, but you mentioned the blood vault. I'm an artificer, a botanist, an alchemist. I make a lot of unique and interesting things. I've studied in Vasselheim, I've studied in Drusar, I've studied in Amman. I've spent a little bit of time in Rexentrum. I have never heard of anything called a blood vault before.
Oh,
Can you
shit.
describe it to me? I mean, how did they describe what this thing is or does? Is it something that you saw, a physical thing that you saw?
Well, the supposed dead person who signed this vellum, who I suspect is within that urn, said the only way to access that vault was to be the last blood relative of the Wandermans, and she was concerned, or not concerned, she was like a distant heir, but the next heir apparent was possibly alive somewhere out in the Isles, and we were sent to go track them down and potentially end their life. And then we were on a boat with a bullywog that turned into claiming to be he was the heir, and then he turned into a blonde guy that she does not like.
Well, yeah, I got that part where obviously he tried to kill her.
No, he succeeded.
Oh, you're one of those that's been brought back. She walks over, kind of like goes like that to Puck and looks in her eyes.
I pretend to be a zombie very suddenly.
Oh, you're playing with me. That's not nice. And just takes an interest. I've never spoken to someone back from the dead. Did it hurt? Did it, like, coming back hurt? Obviously, being dead hurt because you died. But did coming back hurt? How did they bring you back? Was it your priestess friend here, or how does coming back from the dead work? I'd be so interested in writing your story.
We can talk about that later.
Okay. She turns and goes back to the table.
We would also need to know a little bit more about you, because, well, this is not a normal place to end up in, and you seem to have stumbled into it under pretty unusual circumstances.
I'm pretty resilient. I've traveled a lot. I've been trying to get to the Shattered Isles for some time, and now I'm here. I mean, no offense to all of you, but I plan on in the morning going down to that little community there, figure out who that big Heftamata is, that big chief, make myself known, maybe give them a couple glittery stones and, bribe my way into their community and get some access to some of the local plants and fauna and flora and local geology around here and finish what I came out here to do.
We heard the Voik were not exactly friendly to outsiders.
Oh, well, I've heard that too, but sometimes you come up with the most bizarre rumor or detail to keep competitors out. I'm not so sure that's true. It could be true, it could not be true. I don't know. At least I could do is try to go and have a conversation, see what I can learn.
Well, we still have a horn of one of their elk from the boat.
And the etching.
Yeah.
Really? When did you meet the Voik?
we met their ship. It was empty.
Oh, interesting. Sure would have liked to have seen one of those. I've heard that they're very well crafted and serve very specific purposes depending on which clan that you meet up with. There's 9 of them.
Yep. So we've heard. Excuse me.
Spread out amongst all the 9 islands of the Shattered Isles. I've always been hoping to kind of make my way to each of the islands, see what I could find.
I was trying to go back to my notes about the Voik.
Is there a tribe associated with Pebble's Throw?
Pebble's Throw. No. That's actually, most of us don't consider that one to be an island. It's barely a small chunk of rock that sticks out of the sea. Most people agree that it was maybe a failed eruption or a failed island that was intended to be created geologically, but never actually formed, much bigger than, I don't know, barely a quarter of a mile across. And if even that, partially submerged. That one's never been successfully charted well. Most of the ones that were halfway decently charted were the ones on the perimeters of the chain of islands. Most people don't really have much success getting through the veil, so the information I've gleaned is mostly relegated to historical works out of the different capital cities that I've visited over the course of the last 20, 30 years, maybe.
I only know 6 of the tribes.
6, interesting. From what I've been able to research, there are supposedly 9.
Huh.
Although I don't really know all their clan names, I just know that there are supposedly 9 clans for 9 islands.
Well, the 6 that I know were all tied to animals.
It stands to reason that the other 3 might be as well. But I mean, conjecture, right? Here we are on Dragon's Breath Island. Clearly, the elk have staked their claim here. I recognized the totem when we first arrived. Their town down below is obviously where they live, and there's a lighthouse. Clearly, enough information to give us some insight into maybe trying to figure out what's going on.
Are you looking for anything specific?
What do you mean? Specific.
Well, it's kind of a long way to go just to discover new things. There are new things in a lot of places. But this area seems to have some pretty specific artifacts and pretty specific natural properties.
Give me a persuasion check, Puck, as you ask her that.
We've been through this, but not charismatic.
Can I
Well,
give like
that's
a subtle guidance? Oh, it might not be
Give her
helpful.
help.
No, that's a 4.
Or the help action?
Earthen, do you want to take over for this? Can you?
Yeah.
She raises an
Sure.
eyebrow from Puck over to Earthen. Well, that's the question.
I mean, I've been the most suspicious person here, but I've failed to be suspicious of you because you seem bumbling.
Oh, thank you.
Ooh.
Are we sure? Earthen, no.
Most
You're trying to charm her.
What is it you were sent here for? What is it you're here looking for specifically?
Give me a persuasion check on that. DC went up a little bit because of the awkwardness of Puck starting to ask the question and then you taking over.
Sure.
Ugh.
Okay. That's a persuasion. Ha! That's a 24.
24.
Oh, thank
I
God.
rolled a 7. Okay.
She sets down the containers and components that she's showing Spot how to make this Hero's Feast meal to give the ability of Hero's Feast. And she walks over to where you guys are kind of all collected together. I have, shall we say, I have an interest in source of the rumors of this place, of these Shattered Isles. Have you ever heard of a group of people called the Kalishtar?
Can I do a history check and see if I have?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that as well.
Okay.
I know out of character I've got some knowledge, but in character I can't say.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Mine was a 15.
Okay.
History. Oh, that was a 14. It was a 3, but it's a 14.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard basic rumors of their existence, that supposedly there is a dreamlike plane of existence that once these people lived on. Some dark menace destroyed it and drove them out of their dreamlike existence into the greater ether of the astral sea, where they kind of spread upon every plane of existence. And from time to time, you'll meet these people that are very Sylvan-like in appearance, but they manage magic and their own innate ability to understand dreams, foreshadowing, seers. Sometimes they become very gifted in sight, whether it be the past or future. And most people mistaken them for fae. And that's about the limit of what you know. Greenleaf, go
Can I
ahead.
do a quick would it be investigation or perception check of her fingers?
Let's take our 5-minute break, and when you come back, you can do that part. Guys are getting deep in the arc now. And we are back.
Ha ha.
Give me. What'd you get?
Oh, I didn't roll.
Give
so
me.
investigation or perception. That's what.
Give
my
me.
question.
Yeah, give me perception as you look at her hands.
Okay. Ugh. All right, that's 18.
What are you looking for? What do you suspect?
I'm looking for rings.
She does have 2 rings on her left hand and 3 rings on her right hand. None of
Okay.
which match the rings that you guys recovered.
Okay. For shits and giggles, can I
Stop,
investigate
Dubtech.
the rings?
Stop, Dubtech. Don't you dare.
For shits
He's
and
like-
giggles, I'm gonna pause all thoughts and just be looking, but like scanning her rings real quick for any signs of insignia or something like that.
With that same perception roll,
Yep.
one of them is a wedding ring.
You're married.
She covers her hand with her other hand. What has that got to do with anything?
Nothing yet, but piques my interest in why you're here and who's your husband.
She looks caught. She looks confused, and she kind of backs away from you when you make the implication. Well, it's none of your concern who I'm married to. I mean, it's my business.
Sure. And yet, where's your husband? Or spouse?
She takes another step away. I back home, of course, waiting for my return. We have that kind of agreement.
You very well could have died in the heart of that mimic had we not been there and freed you from that. And now you're suddenly wanting to clam up and not share information with those who quite
What?
literally saved your life?
Well, I appreciate that you did that, but I don't see where it's any.
We couldn't trust anyone else in that room, and now we trust you, and now we need to really know that we can trust you.
Give me a persuasion or intimidation, your choice.
Persuasion.
Okay.
Oh, great roll. That's a 19 plus 17.
36.
Yeah.
Almost max. One away from max, right?
Yeah.
Jesus. She looks over.
I'm asking intimidating questions, but I'm not
Right.
meaning to be intimidating.
He looks over at Xanath and Spot, who's still working on the ingredients, and she kind of takes out a towel and starts rubbing off her hands to clean up her hands. She's obviously nervous. Her eyes just kind of gloss over. My husband went missing about 6 or 7 months ago. he initially traveled with the Martinet. His name was Devon Galestrider. And I haven't seen him since. I'm convinced he's out here somewhere. I merely need to try to find him. That is why I've come.
Blonde hair?
Yes, blonde hair.
A little bit taller than me?
Yes.
Like, I'm going to look at Tally. Puck, sorry. I'm going to look at Puck. I looked at Tally, but I'm looking at Puck.
Puck kind of clamps up and is like, oh, fucking shit. And yeah, Puck is gonna walk away from this to the side of the tent and just get ready to go to sleep. This is too much.
Look,
The last we knew of a blonde-haired man traveling with the Martinet that went by the name of Devon. He was on the side of the volcano that erupted at Gnomork, alongside Mason. It appeared that he and the Martinet were being used as fodder or sustenance for Mason while he traveled. I'm sorry to tell you, I there's a very, very good chance that Devon is dead. If not dead, at very least, vampire.
you can't prove it. You don't know for a fact.
I'm not lying to you, though. I am being as honest with you as I can be. I am telling you everything that I know about Devon. And there's a reason Puck left the room.
Well, she didn't leave. She's right there.
Well, tried to leave the room.
I mean, she's curled up by her tiger. She's 5 feet away.
Yes. That name is very close to her in a very bad way.
She looks at all of you and then over her shoulder towards where Puck is lying down. And then, oh, I see. She sets down her tools and ingredients and, if you'll excuse me, please. And she walks out.
No,
Before
no,
you-
no.
Before
Wait.
you go,
What?
well, you first, Anth.
Tilly, we don't know for sure what happened to him, and we haven't scryed on him or tried to send him a message in a long time. The story we received from Devin was that he was completely different than the story that you're telling us.
Tears are kind of welling up at the bottom of her eyes. Could you scry on him now, do you think? Do you think you could try to find him? If you've met him and you know what he looks like, I haven't seen him in a very long time. He's such a good person, and he promised me that this last trip to the Shattered Isles is going to be the last one, and that he'd come home afterwards, and we'd be done with this. He never really trusted the Martinet. Her behavior was always so strange. But I just, if I can know for sure if he's dead or alive, that could influence my next choices, I guess.
Can I make an insight check to try to determine whether she's now lying to us or if it seems genuine that this really is her
Yeah,
husband?
give me an insight check.
Okay. That is a 27.
27. She's being as honest as she's willing to be, but she's definitely holding back something. She's not lying, but you get the feeling she knows more than she's saying.
I'd like to help Tilly, but we've been betrayed a lot, and I can tell you're still not telling us everything. I really want to help.
What was Devon tied up in? Why did he have to make trips to the Shattered Isle?
She just looks at the ground, looks over at Xanath, and then looks over at you as you ask the question. If Devon was a priest, he was a member of the Wild Mother's Sanctuary from Vasselheim. We met in Vasselheim at a event at the Serenray Temple. We fell in love, and we never looked back. People always made their tall and short jokes, but we didn't care. It was fun. We had good times, and we traveled the world. He went to a symposium, a lecture, given by a druid that went by the name of Mannheim. And ever since that encounter some 8 months ago, he's never really been the same. He became obsessed with traveling with the Martinet and gaining access to the islands. Almost as if to the point I didn't exist anymore. I did my best to try to dissuade him, bring him back to the reality of things, but sometimes his behavior was difficult. My last conversation with him was that he said, quote, all he's got to do is find the beacon, and the beacon will answer all the questions. That is all I know about what his interest was. I have spent quite a bit of money and influence trying to infiltrate the academy at Drusar. The Mannheim name kept popping up in that direction, so I followed it there. I wound up in Nicodranus. Not really sure who this Wanderman Assembly is, but I visited a rather frightful person, an ogre-like person of the Three Sails, or some piracy group. I don't know.
The red oh shit.
Red rats?
Yeah. Fuck, what was his name? It was something with a C. I remember that much.
Anyways, I tried to hitch a ride on one of their ships. They declined. I managed to find another vessel that could take me out to try to find Haven. I found Haven. I knew that was my only opportunity to get onto the Shattered Isles. And that's where we met. I knew that this academic group was traveling here, but I didn't want to be directly involved with them. Yes, an ogre named Chisel. That was who I spoke to. The academics seemed under the influence of something that I couldn't understand. Bothers me is every time I try to think or describe of who this Mannheim is, I struggle with it, but I know I think they were a real person. I'm not entirely sure. But once I realized that they were here as well, on the back of that blue whale to take us through the veil, I did what I do best. I act stupid and make my way into the club, hoping that I could learn something. And yes, you're right. I would have been trapped there for the rest of my life, hadn't been for all of you participating, but I cannot believe that Devon has become the person that is being stated here. He was always such a good person. He meant a lot to me, and I need to find him. I just need to know if he's dead or alive. I need to know.
How long did you know Devon before his travels started?
A couple years, maybe?
Did he ever use the name Mithra?
Mithra. I believe he mentioned that name, but it's a celestial name. It means child of the stars. I don't know why he would use it, but I know that's what it means.
That was how he first introduced himself to us. But I have to say, at the time, he was being transformed into a bullywog.
Yes, you mentioned a curse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can only assume he successfully found this beacon that he was looking for, was influenced by it, and became cursed, of course.
I'm gonna point the walls are like semi-transparent, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to point at the beacon, and if what we've been told is true, that is where the curse happened.
So if we were to go investigate that place, it could give us the answers then.
If what we were told was true, going into that place curses us immediately.
But then it sounded as if the Martinet had gone there as well, correct?
She was also cursed, yes.
Oh. I don't understand. What does this all mean then?
Well,
There's one person who could tell us.
the curse on Devon, didn't we ultimately determine that his memory had been modified, which we thought was something the Martinet did, but also that the Bullywug curse was something that the Martinet did, as that's what the cage did.
The cage was turning him into that, yeah.
So it actually wasn't a curse from the lighthouse, although that's what we were originally told.
Well, that whole duality of her with the statue was supposed to be part of that curse.
Yeah.
Also, not to put it out there, but if they were tragic lovers, their cover was that of tragic lovers. I don't know if we've ever seen any indication of that in real life, but that would imply cheating.
But
I'm sure that's just the influence of the magic. I mean, you know, he could be brought back to his senses, I'm sure.
Puck is not talking with them. She's being moody again in the corner.
Puck's just in the corner, like, not talking. Then she's like, and he's a cheater, by the way.
He's a rat bastard and a cheater.
So true.
The Martinet was a cheater too, though.
I thought it seemed like maybe he only believed there had been a romance as a result of some kind of memory modification, because the timeline was, well, at least someone is lying, because the timeline is completely different on the romances with the Martinet and with Tilly.
Yep.
Xanath, give me a religion check, if you would, please.
That is an 18.
18. The modified memory, the curse, the lighthouse. This is sounding a lot like a religious ceremony. Sometimes more nefarious organizations will simply gather targets, make them do what needs to be physically done to be a part of the ceremony, and then kind of just cast aside after the ceremony. You get the feeling that someone's trying to figure out how to get into the lighthouse. And that the Martinet and Devon were just simply pawns in that effort. And rather than mercilessly be dealt with, either they were left to their own devices or somehow got away, maybe. It's hard to tell. But you get the feeling that someone's trying to figure out a way into that lighthouse.
I'll relay that to the group.
Okay.
This actually sounds it sounds like not something like Helm would do, but like a religious ceremony.
Yeah, like a ceremony to either invoke religious overtones or deified overtones, or maybe even a higher power granting them access to the lighthouse.
Yeah. All targeting getting them into the lighthouse, and then we did see that they, after Devon completed his orders, he got captured by Mason and no one intervened. So it's possible he was just sort of tossed aside.
And Earth, and that begins to remind you of Puck's so-called conversation with Zahir. And do you know of him saying that before when he killed Puck? Does anyone know that he said that? Or is that something that only Puck would know? Because I have a memory of Puck sharing that experience.
Yeah, I thought she shared with us that he said, like, it's
the Great
done,
Shadowed
Master.
One.
Yeah. And he said, like, it's done, Master, or something like that.
You get the feeling that Devon has experienced a door opening that has never been properly closed. The Martinet was split into dual form, almost as if she went through a door and came back two people. This feels like a planar gateway that is protected. Somebody tried to conduct a ritual and see if they could figure a way through the barrier. It failed, and the outcome was the chaff of Devon and Martinet's life. One slowly going mad with the ability to speak with entities or hearing voices. The other one split into two distinct simulacrums of people, one dark, one light, trying to just survive in a world after whatever they participated in failed utterly.
So, Tilly, do you now have an interest in bringing back the dead that are not cursed?
Well, it would require some effort on my part to understand how to do it. Do you have the body of the person that you'd wish to bring back?
It's in the bag.
Oh, you did put gentle repose on it, didn't you?
I did. No. I definitely
yeah,
did.
you did.
Yeah.
Oh,
now it
good.
has been. Yeah, on the plane we were in, it's been less than 10 days. On the plane that we're now in, it's been more than 10 days.
Yeah, in our time, in our travel time, it hasn't been 10 days.
Yeah.
But but the bag's been with us the whole time.
Could you retrieve a lock of her hair, a fingernail, something that I can do a bit of a chemical study on?
Sure. I'm gonna reach in the bag and pull out some hair.
Well, I mean, just okay. She walks over and grabs the clump of the hair and kind of wraps it up and puts it inside of a small leather pouch. I'm going to help your friend Spot finish doing what he's doing. I'll need some preparation to study this in the morning, but she seems lost in thought. She just wanders back over to where Spot is and kind of goes back to lecturing and giving Spot instruction on what he's doing.
Hey, don't forget, there's a shit bucket that's not to be used to cook with.
Spot's like, fine.
Just a memento from your favorite goblin buddy.
Why are we holding on to that bucket?
What are you holding on to that bucket, Earthen?
Sometimes you gotta go, and there's not anywhere to do it.
Everyone
And
else
it's
is
nice to
leaving
have
the
that
hut.
bucket around.
Yeah, everyone's like moved on. Just never got over the shit bucket.
You know, we ate soup from that bucket at least once. You know that, right?
I don't know that, and I choose to believe that I was very, very diligent with everything I prepared on that boat.
don't
Shut
think
up,
you-
Earthen.
I don't think
Shut
you
your
cooked on
dirty
the
mouth.
first day, man.
Earthen.
We all have. There's all dirty mouths around here, Spot.
So anything else you guys want to do before settling into that long rest? It's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
getting into the evening at this point.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna rest now.
I'd like to talk to my mom real quick.
Okay.
So I'll
Did you communicate anything about what you were talking to your mom earlier with us?
I think you guys would have heard me, but yeah, I'll definitely tell you guys. I told my mom that Sibylla and Alara knew her and knew her connection to me, and I told her to go to the Temple of Helm. I just don't know what they're gonna do.
What did Tilly say changed Devon?
Yeah, talking to Mannheim.
A symposium with Mannheim.
Hmm.
You just said your mom was at a symposium with Mannheim.
She said that she was going to go, but she hadn't been yet, and I told her not to go. You think I shouldn't talk to her?
I'm worried. You said you were gonna try and tell her. I mean, she wanted you to tell her how to astral project here.
She said that she had learned how to astral project, and I assume she wanted to meet on the astral plane. I don't know. I that's like a storyteller. Did I get the impression it was like she wants to meet on the astral plane, or she wants to project to where I am?
She wants to project to where you are,
Oh, okay.
which gives her all the physicality of being there without actually physically being there. She'll be at the temple using the ceremonial chamber as a way to project herself through the ethereal plane,
Mhm.
so that a magic form of herself will appear for a prolonged conversation.
Mhm.
Kind of like what's her face in Vox Machina? Crap, Ashley.
Pike.
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 Yeah,
Oh yeah.
when they were in fighting the Briarwoods,
Yeah.
which has me concerned.
Yeah, you're right. It's safer if she does. I don't want her to know where I am or what I'm doing.
But is there a way for you to ensure that she is safe? I mean,
Could you scry on her first?
I could.
it seems
I mean-
like. Oh, sorry.
All right. Well, I was saying, I mean, if then we can actually know where she is, and that at least the story checks out.
It also seems like we're getting a sense that there is an academic institute that in some ways finds people, like multiple symposiums with a feature
Symposiumi.
Symposium.
Symposium.
With a person named Mannheim. I guess the word recruitment comes to mind.
And smart people, especially.
Can I
And the
just,
people we met. Oh, sorry.
I
That's
just want to chime in for like talking to Xanth about her mom. It's like, well, this isn't an ideal solution, but if you're worried about her safety, you know, if she's astral projecting, as long as, with very few exceptions, nothing can actually harm her physical body. It's literally not possible. You kind of have to sever her connection from her soul, which, if she stays in the astral plane, there's very, very little that can do that. Having her astral project in a relatively secure location where she physically is may be an incredibly good way of keeping her safe.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't want her to have information about where we are because I'm afraid that people would be interested in her.
I'm not telling her to astral project who we are. I'm saying, like, find a one of the libraries in the astral realm and have her hide out there. That seems like a good way of keeping her bodily safe while we do our other things without leading her right to us.
Assuming she's not already compromised in some way.
If she seems like she's okay at the moment, and if she's at the Temple of Helm, I believe you at the very least have some kind of, I guess, peace of mind that she would be as safe as she can there. The Helm's people would not be collaborating against her.
Yeah, I feel comfortable that she's safe there.
That's good. Do you have any way to talk to anybody else in the Temple of Helm?
I could presumably I would have spent enough time. Well, I don't know if I'd have been to the Temple of Helm in Vasselheim. Probably not. I haven't been there.
Not in Vasselheim. Your parents have been there on occasion.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that she's gone there to learn. I mean, you also know that astral projection's a very powerful spell.
Is it the kind of thing, like, is it weird that she knows how to do it, or am I like...
No, because she's a pretty progressive priestess. You get the feeling she's either learned it in such a way that allows her to do it, or she's taken on some wizardry skills to learn how to do it. It's a powerful spell. But it's not beyond your mother's ability to learn it if she dedicated herself to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think scrying on her first could give us insight into whether or not that was real. Right?
Yeah.
And then I'll leave it to you to make a decision after that.
All right, yeah, I can do a scry, and then if she seems good, maybe I can just astral project to her instead of the other way around, or something. All right, so I'll try and if it's been an hour, I'll try and scry on my mom to just quickly check that things are as they seem to be.
You go into that kind of meditative state. All the noise around you fades. Feel your third eye come rising up and out of your physical state. What's interesting is you sit there hovering over the tiny hut. The lighthouse is an ethereal beacon. You're actually using the ethereal plane to traverse with scry as quickly as possible to locate your mother. There are 8 other distant points of light, and you're seeing the shattered isles from an ethereal existence.
Ooh.
There's a lot of magic here. It's not interfering. It's just very relevant to you because it's somehow interconnected with the ethereal plane. Your scry takes you through the veil and out some distance. You make it over the capital city of Vasselheim, these great wards and temples and the great white cliff stairs and the collapsed earth titan that, slowly, eroding and being mined by the nearby guilds that are trying to harvest the power of the dead Earth Titan from Vecna's attempted ascension. Your scry starts to drift down towards the Helm Temple or Temple. Some call it the Stormlord, some call it Court. It just depends on, your perception. And as it drifts near it, there's a brief connection with the idea that your mother's there, but you run into a physical barrier that prevents scrying because it is a holy temple. So she's there, you feel she's there, but as soon as your scry hits it, kind of like a bug on a windshield, right? Just, stops. Which you're not completely surprised by because temples are supposed to be safe havens. They're supposed to be protected from scry. So it's possible that's what you ran into. But the scry was taking you there, so she's there.
Okay.
You just couldn't see inside the temple.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I feel like it's her. I feel like she's safe in the temple. So I guess I'm running out of spell slots.
I'm surprised you have any after that fight.
I know. Well,
Well, you got a whole rest.
we got it.
Yeah, that's right.
The three of them did. Just
Yeah.
me that didn't,
Yeah.
because paranoia.
All right, I'll cast her ascending. I'll say, all right. Looks like you're safe in the temple. Can I project you?
I didn't know you knew astral projection. Would you like to project to me, or I could project to you?
I'm not replying to that. So I'm just gonna try to project to her. Unless, do I get the sense that I won't be able to do it because of the whole temple protection thing?
Yeah, you get the feeling that she was a little confused in her statement, and before long, you get a message in your head. Sorry, dear, I still keep forgetting that I can send you messages too.
What the heck?
Anyways, I'm already in the temple. I've gotten permission to use the observation room to project myself to you. Be there shortly. And then you can reply to this message.
I'll see you in a minute.
Sidebar.
About an hour goes by. The duration of the casting time is about an hour. All of you see a flare of light appear in the middle of the tiny hut. And a kind of torso, like a bust, like shoulders on up, of a projected image of Xanath's mother.
Whoa, so happy we get to see her.
Amazing.
Aww.
She's suddenly there, but a little bit more glowy, a little bit more sparkly because of the way the magic works. And she's got very soft, kind eyes and just, oh, Xanath, you look amazing. Oh my, you've taken up with some interesting people. Is that a very tall carpet in the back there making dinner? Anyways, doesn't matter. Your father's here, not with me right now. He's out shopping. You know how he loves to shop when we visit places. Have you been? You look
To the
different.
shop? Yeah, Mom. I didn't realize you could do this. Thank you.
Well, I've been keeping busy since you abandoned your parents all those months ago, ignoring us and just gallivanting around, clearly with more interesting people than us. Oh, look, a tiger. It's not going to eat you, is it, dear? It's safe.
No, this is my party. Spot. This is Puck and Punch and Eartha, and I've been traveling with them all for the last couple of months.
Oh, wow. Well, no wonder you never bothered to send us any kind of message. You've been busy. Is everything okay, dear? You look a little travel weary. Like you've been busy. Are you getting sleep? Are you eating good meals? Are you making sure that you're taking time for your mental health? We've been through this before. You sometimes get weight. You hear, she stops for a minute. She goes, I know. She says that to somebody. Your father just got back from shopping. Anyways,
He didn't happen to be Helm, is he?
Okay, no, we're not
I'm
doing that.
sorry, Helm. Why would her father be? No, he's a sea elf. Which I could have him project as well. You could talk to him as well, dear, if you'd like to. Take another hour for you to have the conversation with him. I mean, I guess.
No,
Suppose.
no, Mom. I've been traveling for the last couple of months, and we've been dragged into more trouble than we expected. Things have gotten kind of serious. Everything's okay, but I can't. I don't think I should tell you very much about where we are, but I wanted to know.
Oh well, yeah, I can scry and find you quite easily. I wouldn't worry about that.
You can try.
Well, what do you mean I can try?
Pretty good wisdom now.
Oh, interesting. So you don't want your mother to know where you are. Well, that's different. Then I shouldn't know. Clearly, you don't want my involvement. Fine. You've always been this way. I mean, loving, but very difficult. Yes. She starts doing that kind of looking around.
Have you ever seen a ring like this?
Here's at
It's
Earth
one
and
of
Sand.
the three rings.
Oh, well, yes. The individual giving the lecture that I saw in the lecture hall was wearing the exact ring like that.
Did you go to the lecture?
No, but I mean, he was at the reception. You know how these things are, dear. They welcome you. They wine and dine you. They're always looking for people to sponsor their next great adventure or excavation or wherever these academics go to find the truth. I find him to be quite creepy, to be honest with you. My father said that he was constantly gaslighting and throwing shade at people, and he will never see a single gold coin as long as he lives. So I can assure you, your father doesn't really care much for him. When I explained to him that you had said we should just leave and ignore this person, I was like, oh, fine. We didn't seem all that interested to begin with, to be honest with you.
What
Did
did he
you
look
hear?
like? Sorry, you're the daughter. Go ahead.
He's very aggressive for a bard. Normally, bards just sit back and look handsome and, well, you know, they're always seducing things. Oh, wait a minute.
I don't have that
You?
gift.
Not you two, right? This is
No.
that call, is it?
She's
No.
pregnant!
No.
What? She, like,
No,
starts looking and
absolutely
her
not.
eyes get really wide.
No.
What
It
the
was
heck is that?
it was
No.
Erebos. It wasn't me. It was Erebos.
No.
Oh.
Bertha, just because her mom called you, like, I know you're a shabby looking guy, but just because she said you look like a carpet, that's not a reason to lash out.
Hey, I said I am not that.
I mean, Dan, I don't know if I congrats if true, but like, good.
No, not to be
Like,
clear,
Spot
not
has no
true.
concept of human anatomy, so he's like, oh, sure. You guys shook hands, so obviously you're pregnant.
To return to topic, Mom, did you hear what Mannheim was what was he trying to get people to do? What was he campaigning for?
Well, it's a lecture and a symposium, so there's a couple of them giving a symposium, and he's one of the 4 lecturers. They are speaking to the idea of planar travel through arcanic or arcane gateways. Supposedly, this is a predication to them conducting a study on the ziggurat in Whitestone. So they are giving lectures, hearing people's arguments as well. I've always been interested in Whitestone, quite a fascinating place. That was my main attraction there. But to be honest, it's kind of the same drivel and conjecture about magical travel. I mean, we know what we know. We know what we can do.
It's not conjecture.
What do you mean it's not conjecture?
I mean, it's not conjecture. Travel
Well,
is possible.
Well, I know regular travel is possible. If I want to go to the plane of fire.
I'm gonna point like over our shoulders towards the beacon.
Yes, a lighthouse. It's quite lovely.
No, it. Wow, your mom is something.
Love my mom.
Whoa.
Well,
Arson,
I mean, you're pointing at a lighthouse.
Did they talk at all, or have you heard anything about rifts in the planes? Rifts that allow you to travel between planes?
There was some information shared in regards to the rifts that have been witnessed recently over the last couple months that have been going on deep out in the Lucidian Sea, but the location of them has been described as being so far flung out in the sea that a lot of people simply are like, oh, it's out there, it's not going to harm anybody, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, nothing like giant blue dragons that come from places they're not normally in.
Yeah, your friend should drink less.
Oh, I'm not drinking. I produced the bone from the dragon, or one of the bones from the dragon.
Why is he pointing a boner at me? That seems that he shouldn't do that. Is he special needs? Is your friend special?
No.
It's very like you to kind of attract those, people that need your help. I know you. You're a soft soul when it comes to people that are in dire need and dire straits. Xanath, I mean, the Tabaxi's adorable. You must bring him home when you come visit. And for some reason, a little gnomish head or halfling head or some tiny little face keeps popping up out of that tiger's back there and yelling at me. I don't know what that's about, but anyways, listen.
That's like the
when
best
are you
description of
coming home, Xanath? When are you coming home?
I don't know. This Mannheim person that you talked to,
Yes.
we have been hearing the name Mannheim constantly over the last couple of months. They seem to be everywhere. I think it is an organization of people using one pseudonym.
Oh, it is interesting. I have quite a strong wit, so it didn't really bother me at the time. But your father met him, and your father swears that she didn't, or that he didn't. I saw him, talk to him at the cocktail party. They had a conversation about something. He came over to me, and I said, "Who was that gentleman you were talking to?" And he said, "I don't know. I was talking to nobody." I was like, "Of course you were. I just saw you talk to him. You were standing right there, and you talked to him."
What did he look like?
Well, I remember him looking very tall, older looking man, white and silver hair, a bit of a beard, projection of like a beard, goatee, very academic looking, blue eyes or green eyes. I'm not sure for sure, but seemed like a kind of typical professor, to be honest with you. Nothing special.
Does that match the description of the guy who was supposedly Mannheim, who was fed the freaking bug, the worm?
Yeah, to a T.
Shit.
Can you ask Dad if he knows the SS Mannheim?
Oh, well, I'll ask him when I come out of my unconscious. I'm actually unconscious right now for the duration of the spell. I can't. Your father wasn't here to be ready to be part of it. Otherwise, he'd be with me. But I can ask him after the spell ends, and we could send you a message.
Who were the other speakers?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't. Yeah, there were others. Yeah, but I don't know who they were. I wasn't really interested in that. The one that I was mostly interested in was the presentation that Mannheim was going to give about interplanar travel and arcane gateways. I found it interesting because supposedly he's going to be traveling to Whitestone and be a part of the team that's constantly investigating that silly place, the Ziggurat in Whitestone. The Derolo family has put quite a reward out there for anyone that can close that anti-magic field that exists on the Ziggurat. I know there is an elven gentleman out there currently who's helping as well. Oh, short white hair, beautiful pink. He's quite pretty, actually. Perhaps you've heard of him? No?
With short white hair.
Short, white-haired elven guy.
How did
Yes.
some of the sorry, how does like the ball something crew look like?
Oh, that wouldn't be one of them. Because Caleb has brown hair.
Oh, sorry. He goes
Hey,
by the
Xander.
name Essek, is what the name he goes by.
Not
He is friendly with another wizard that's made trips over here as well. Caleb, red-haired gentleman. Supposedly, Essek has made some pretty advanced insights into closing the anti-force field that's been existing on the Ziggurat platform for quite some time.
What if that exists for a reason?
Well, it doesn't. It never existed until the Briarwoods tried to bring Vecna into the world. Some say when Vox Machina stopped them from doing that, the field was kind of like a projection of failure, like it left a doorway open, is what they feel it is. Anybody that gets within about 60 feet of the anti-magic field, no magic works at all, whatsoever.
Right, but that would mean that was a safety lock on the door.
No, it was never there until the Briarwoods tried to bring Vecna into the world. So
Right.
there's obviously a want to close it and make doorways go both ways. And supposedly this Mannheim was giving a lecture in regards to the possibility of something that they have discovered that might work to shut it down. Therefore, Essek and Caleb have taken an interest in the idea of this happening. Look, I don't know much about the arcane and all that magic stuff. I know that ziggurats are religious places of importance. Some say it was the very center of what happened in Vasselheim. So there are a lot of interested parties in this. But this seems like a far, far away thing from where you are, Zenith. Are you near here? I mean, I can always locate you, dear. You are wearing the locket that I gave you. I can locate that and know where you are. But I will respect your privacy. I just need to make sure that you're safe.
What do you know about the Daughter of Helm?
Oh, it's mostly superstition, of course.
So if we told you we saw a statue of your daughter that was thousands of years old on an island out here in the Lucidian Sea, you wouldn't believe me.
No, of course not. You're quite daft. That's impossible. That doesn't even make any sense. Superstition, Daughter of Helm, that is madness. Daughter of Helm is it's a general term, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's like calling someone a zealot or a dedicated person to a god, a champion or a Templar or someone who has dedicated themselves to a god. So a Daughter of Helm is literally somebody that dedicates their life to Helm.
Well, I'm talking about the Daughter of Helm, not
You're being daft. Of course that can't happen. Oh gosh, I'm going to say this out loud, aren't I? Gods aren't real in the sense that you think they're real. Sorry, dear. Your bard friend is clearly
vindicated. Vindicated. I'm vindicated.
Gods are spiritual beings that exist through the divinity of our faith. The stronger our faith, the closer we get to their spiritual divinity. If a god speaks to you, it's more likely your divine faith is channeling their spiritual essence to you. Did they physically exist? I mean, the teachings tell us they did once, a long time ago during the period of founding. But those that are bereft of faith and all hope of being good people will tell you that gods don't exist. So, I mean, it's a matter of perspective, a matter of choice. Some choose not to believe. Those of us choose faith. and we know our faith binds us to the spiritual essence of our gods. But they're not physical things. They're not, you walk into a tavern, have a beer with a god. It doesn't really kind of work like that. So
Apparently, you go to their plane and they're friendly to you, though. Do you recognize this picture on the ring here?
no, it looks like an eyeball.
You've never seen anything similar to this anywhere?
Well, I saw it on the hand of Mannheim, of course. That's the only place that I saw it. They seemed like a signet ring, something that shows their devotee, their dedication to their academic arts, I would suppose.
So if
I mean, like, as
said
loud as
no.
possible, like pretending to whisper, yeah, your friend is extremely paranoid. You might want to seek him some help.
So,
Anyway,
so if I
Troy.
said this was the Eye of Uk'otoa, it just wouldn't mean anything to you.
Well, Uk'otoa is a religious entity. People who believe in the faith of the Leviathan may carry little trinkets as their focus of belief or religion. Personally, I find anyone who believes in Uk'otoa to be of nefarious nature. People who tend to do bad things. Uk'otoa is not a good divinity. If you want to hide in plain sight as a bad person, I guess you could say you're a faith keeper of Uk'otoa, I suppose. Often they're referred to as cloven cults, or they will have the word cloven in their name as a way to identify their organizations as connected to the Great Leviathan, I guess you could say.
Mom, have you heard the name Erebos before?
Erebos. No. Does it mean something to you, dear? Is that why you're asking?
Do I feel like she's being honest?
She looks, without even an insight check, she looks very contemplative, like she's thinking hard, and she doesn't recognize it. I can ask your father. He's much better at the divinity thing than I am, dear. I've mostly been dabbling in the arcane for the last year. Perhaps he knows something. These questions I will take to your father, see if he knows anything once we're done.
Let me know if he knows anything. Mom, I don't want to keep you all day.
Oh no, it's not long, and I haven't seen you for months, dear. I'm more than happy to spend here talking about, clearly with your paranoid friends, your talking cat, about the potential end of the world. I mean, what could be less interesting than that? More interesting. More confusing. Anyways.
Did news of the volcano reach Vasselheim?
Oh, what volcano? Well, I mean, a fleet of ships did leave here a month or so ago. But supposedly it was to aid a group of people in distress. That's all they told us. But, those in charge are those in charge. I'm merely a fly in a very lonely room, to be honest with you. Don't really have much pull with the politics of this place. I come here to study. Your father comes here to study. Sounds like you and your friends are deep into something there, Xanath. Are you sure you're okay?
We're okay. I think we're safe, and I think we're in a little deep now to turn around.
Oh, now, dear, you know that's not true. Sometimes when you used to hold a hot bowl of soup, I would tell you, don't walk across the room with it. Leave it where it is, and then when it cools off, come back for it. If you and your friends are in danger, maybe it's time to come home for a bit and rethink your possibilities. I don't want you disappearing on us. I don't think your father is strong enough to survive that. You know how he feels about the open sea.
paranoid as I may be, I won't let anything happen to her.
Oh, charming.
Well,
Hey,
if it's worth anything, Spot and Puck won't either.
Yeah, I was going to say, I am not a bard. I don't have that sort of reputation. I'm a different species, and I'm not made of glass. So I can help her out a lot. And I don't know if this. Hopefully this raises your estimation of me. I enjoy shit out of it.
Oh, definitely. You'll be sure to join us for the winter festival. We'll keep you in good company. Yes. Just make sure nothing happens to my daughter, all of you, and I'll be more happy to reward you in any way that we can. Whether
Is
it
it
be
okay?
yes, dear.
Oh, sorry. Is it okay if I ask why is her father afraid of the open sea?
Oh, well, I would assume that Xanath would have told you about how me and her father met.
She never mentioned. But
Dear,
if here she
am I
will.
okay to tell the story, or are you
Yeah,
worried
that's
about
okay.
it?
No, that's okay.
Well, I was traveling for academic study, of course. I do that a lot. One of my longer trips across the Lucidian Sea, that was taking me through the archipelago of the Bawali Islands, and eventually to deliver me to Drusar, where I was going to take up some specific reliquary studies. Well, we were in a storm. I was thrown overboard, and well, that's what they say is history. Zera's father is a sea elf, and he found me, saved me, brought me back to safety, and we had been in love ever since. Traveled together until finally we had our daughter Xanath, settled in Wildmont, and practiced our professorship. He taught divinity and Sylvan studies. I taught divinity and arcane studies. And that's how we made our living. I know this is going to sound really strange, but Xanath has had an amazingly stable upbringing. I'm sure those of you out on the road are suffering from things like, sudden death of family members, neuroses, addiction, chronic fear and paranoia, or to be a tabaxi is to kind of inherit those things naturally anyways, but that's fine. Tabaxi are what tabaxi are. But, it's kind of a simple story, really. Girl nearly dies, girl's rescued by a guy, girl get married, have kid. It happens sometimes, I think.
But that doesn't explain why he's afraid of the water.
I think he's afraid of the trauma of me almost dying. I don't think he's afraid of the water. I think he's just afraid of traveling with me because he knows he can inherently swim and breathe underwater and do all those things that I can't do. I think he was traumatized by that event, if I was going to take anything out of that.
Is that when you discovered Helm?
I've always dabbled in divinity. I've always had an attraction towards Helm. Helm, as the Stormlord, has always had a kind of excitement for me. In fact, I was traveling to Drusar to study a relic of Helm, a bronze statue. Of course, I never got to complete that study. The ship was in a storm. I was rescued. And my paths took me a different way. But divinity's always interested me. The idea that this world was founded by creatures of immense power who decided to preserve it by locking themselves away behind the celestial gate, but yet we still feel their spiritual presence, and they give us guidance on what we should and shouldn't be doing in this life, of course.
Well, as long as you talk to the good ones.
That's beautiful.
Well, we know bards talk to all the bad ones.
All right, look, she says that. I'm looking at Puck right now.
before we go, can you tell us an embarrassing story about Zanet's childhood?
Oh,
No,
where do
that would
I
be necessary.
begin?
I'm like looking through my spell list for dispel magic, and I don't have it.
No, please do it.
Well, once when I was changing her, and then
No, Mom.
I like her.
And with that, the astral projection is done. This is a good stopping point because we will be able to take a long rest finally. Quite a bit of lore was accumulated tonight. Spot, you currently have the magical cauldron of Heroes Feast. And you have enough components and enough knowledge, or enough components and material to use it 4 times. After that, you'll have to replenish your material and rebrew everything, including the residuum effect of the cauldron. So most of that's been given to you in kind of like a messenger leather bag that can kind of hold everything, so that you can then, as a ritual, you can cast Heroes Feast using the cauldron.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We are back here next week, but you guys hang out a bit. We'll talk about the schedule. Everyone else, be kind, be safe, and don't forget, play a game. Good night, everybody. Oh, my God. I got to play Xanath's mom. That was so fucking cool. I wrote that so long ago. I wrote that so long ago. I do have to ask while
we're still on stream, though. So,
exactly.
Xanath, I need to know, like, if I ever do make the arrest, what treasured family heirlooms are off the table for stealing?
All of them, Spot.